in this video. I really hope.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started now. I know we may have another couple of people join us, and that's great. We'll get them when they join. First of all, welcome to our Royal Spring virtual sixth grade intro night. We are sorry that we have to do it this way, but we are super hopeful that by the time that your kiddos come to sixth grade, that we'll be able to meet them and greet them and walk the hallways and everything to bring them into the building beforehand. We're going to find a lot of information tonight. And I'm going to let you know that after this, if you have any questions at all, we are filled with a great team of teachers, of staff, and the entire building. We are here and we are ready to help you. I know that it can be a little nerve-wracking for some of you guys who have never had a middle school kiddo before, and some of you guys may be anxious, but I can assure you that you are in good hands here at Royal Spring. We'll do everything that we can do to help you guys be successful. My name is Amanda Wands. I'm the principal at Royal Spring, and we're going to go ahead and introduce a couple of others before we get started here. Would like to introduce one of our assistant principals, Kelly Lee. She's with us right now. And then we have one of our counselors, Brandy Jones, who you'll be able to get to talk with here in a minute. Lindsay Smith is also one of our counselors. And our other assistant principal is Heather Brown. I'm going to let Heather Brown give you guys a little bit of information. I am going to tell you that if you have questions throughout the evening, to direct them to Heather Brown. She's going to kind of facilitate the questions coming in at the end so we can answer them as a whole. So in the chat box at the bottom, if you've got a question as we go through information, please write it in that chat box. Again, we're here to support you guys, and I hope that you find this meeting very beneficial to you. Ms. Brown?
Hi, thank you, Ms. Wands. Ms. Lee, or actually, I think, yep, that's Ms. Jones is going to be using the computer to scroll through each slide for us. So the purpose of tonight is truly... Just a second. Make sure we've got everybody muted here. So the purpose of this evening is to really share with you guys about our Summit community and our Vision or Google community, or in the past we've called it our Universal community. And so tonight we really just want to spend this time just sharing a little bit about what that looks like in the Peace community and what learning looks like in the Vision community. So the Peace community is upstairs at Royal Spring and uses what we call the Summit Learning Platform. We have been using Summit here at Royal Spring. I believe this is going into our 5th or 6th year. Teachers were actually chose to use that platform with their students several years ago, and have continued to use that, and we've expanded that to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, all 3 communities upstairs. Downstairs this year, I think we've got a little bit of, okay. Downstairs this year in the Vision community, they have used Google Classroom. And so many of the things in the past that were differences that we tried to explain to incoming 6th graders had a lot to do with technology. And thanks to COVID, and this is one of the great things that we've been able to definitely expand upon, and that is technology here at Royal Spring. So you're going to see many more things that are alike between the Google Classroom and the Summit Classroom than differences. So everyone should have received a chart when your kiddos were visited by our school counselors. And I'm probably going to need you to make that a little bit bigger, Ms. Jones. So all of the students were given this chart to take home so that you guys could take a look at it. We did make some changes from years past since we are using more technology in the Vision community. And if you could scroll up for me. So what you're going to find is on this particular chart, you're going to see 3 different columns, one for the Peace community, which uses the Summit learning platform. The column in the middle is for all communities. That means everybody in the school uses and has that same exact comparison when we're looking across the board. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to see how the Google Classroom or the Google platform is used in the Vision community. On the left-hand side, you're going to see the instructional framework for Scott County Public Schools. So the first thing that we look at is objectives or targets. And so for that, the objectives and the targets are going to always be the same, no matter whether your child chooses Summit or the Google Classroom. So the objectives and targets will always be posted and reviewed in all classrooms. For the instructional framework with guided instruction for teaching and modeling, for all communities, every teacher in the building is doing I do, we do, you do. Every teacher has one-on-one instruction, labs, presentations, collaborative and independent learning, and differentiate materials as needed or required for students. Within the Summit community, about 80% of their learning is coming from project time or guided teacher instruction. They call it project time in Summit, and it is truly just that direct instruction that you would see in a traditional classroom setting or in the Peace community or in the Vision community as well. About 20% of the Summit learning platform is what we call personalized learning. And the teachers are going to share a little bit more in depth with that. But personalized learning is the focus areas that the Summit platform has that students learn how they learn best. And these are actually focus areas that kids can work on at their own pace with the assistance and guidance of teachers. And then there's some choice in what and how fast a student wants to learn that material.
Cooper, come on up. Let's do this together.
In the Google Classroom, teacher still has guided teacher instruction with a gradual release of learning, just like in the Summit Classroom. Some choice in what and how fast a class moves in a learning environment through the teacher direction. When Ms. Jones, if you could scroll down a little bit more for me, that would be great. When looking at formative assessments and summative assessments, everybody and all the teachers at Royal Spring use flashbacks and bell ringers, quizzes, projects, rubrics, common assessments. Everyone does MAP and K-Prep. And you will see that in the Summit or in the Peace community, teacher-directed instruction with assessments with student choice based on individual student data of what they are prepared, ready to take, of when they are prepared and ready to take an assessment individually. For the Vision community with the Google platform, the teacher is teacher-directed based on class data as a whole to determine when the class is ready to take an assessment together. There will still be times when we have whole class assessments in a Summit classroom, and there's going to be times that students also take assessments individually as needed, also on the Vision community. As far as feedback to students, in both communities, in Peace and in Vision, rubrics, verbal written feedback, one-on-one feedback, all students are assigned a mentor teacher. So that goes throughout our entire building at Royal Spring, no matter which platform that you want to choose for your child. For the Summit community, feedback can be requested by the student and given by teachers through assignments utilizing the Summit platform. For teachers who are using Google, feedback can be requested by the student and given by the teacher through assignments provided in class and through the use of Google Classrooms. So there's really no difference in how feedback can be provided to your child, no matter which platform that your student chooses. Independent practice. Everybody at Royal Spring receives differentiated practice, homework, performance tasks, presentations, projects. For Summit, they have personalized learning time, which is the time that they're working on focus areas, and which is about 20% throughout the school day. They complete those focus areas at their individual pace. For a Google Classroom or for the Vision community, independent practice time is based on teacher direction and as the student needs it throughout the day. For student ownership, we want every student at Royal Spring to be setting goals. We have K-Prep and MAP goal setting that we do. We want students to learn how to analyze their own data and make student choices. We want students to reflect on the material and on their assessments that they have been given and the use of SMART goals. For the Summit platform, there's a built-in goal setting piece within Summit that we utilize. The Summit platform is used at the teacher's student direction, student choice through focus areas on the Summit platform, utilizing a playlist with differentiated materials and resources. And for the Google Classroom, goal setting is at the teacher and student discretion. Opportunities for student choice is provided by the teacher, utilizing differentiated materials and resources. So there's really not a lot of difference, if you haven't noticed already, when you look at the Scott County framework for teaching. As we move on down this list, and if you can scroll up for me, Ms. Jones, really the RSMS framework, the grades, and the scheduling in past have been the things that kind of differentiated Summit from the Google Classroom or through the Universal Classroom. The grades in Summit are posted on the Summit platform, and grading is based on, it's a progression. So the students are working on that course from the beginning of the year till the end of the year. So they have until the end of the year to complete the entire course. So it builds upon itself. Student reflections are going to be sent home with each midterm and a report card, just like in a typical Universal or the Google Classroom. Everybody's still going to get 4 grade reports every year. They're going to get 4 midterms sent home every year. Everybody has access to Infinite Campus, no matter whether you're in Summit or Google. That's really the biggest thing with grades for Summit, is that it really builds upon itself. For the Google Classroom, grades and assignments are viewable by students and parents in Infinite Campus, and the teachers are going to show you some examples of that after assignments have been graded and submitted by the teacher. In Summit, there's a live view of anytime a student submits anything and the teacher provides feedback. For the Google Classroom, parents have access to Infinite Campus portal to check grades at any time. They will also have access through Google as well. Student reflections may be sent home also for each 9 weeks for their report card. Our schedule at Royal Spring used to differ between the Summit community and the Vision community, or the Google community. So, but Peace and Vision will both be on the exact same schedule next year. We're on the same schedule this year with 5 blocks. And so we plan to stay on the same schedule for next year. Everyone will have 4 core content classes. They will have an Apple class. They will have win time, which is what we call what I need. During that time, students receive RTI or special education services. Maybe they might receive mentoring during win time from their teacher, or even enrichment time with gifted and talented. We also provide tier 2 and tier 3 RTIs needed for every student, and special education, resource and co-teaching classes are also scheduled as needed no matter which community that they're in. In the past, technology has also been one of the differentiating factors between the Summit Classroom and a universal classroom. At this point, thanks to COVID, we have been using technology with every single student. So all the students are encouraged to bring their own Chromebook to school or their laptop so that they can use their Summit platform or their Google platform within their classes. This is not something that we're going to go back on and quit using Google just because we're not in a pandemic or not doing virtual learning anymore. It has been beneficial for our students, so we're going to keep doing that. So this is really just the basic overview between the two. And I think everyone will see that there's really not much difference. The teachers now are going to share just a few slides that shows you kind of a visual between what it looks like for grading for each community. So we're going to start with the Peace, which is the Summit community, and Mr. Donovan Kearns, who is our community leader, is going to speak to you guys and share a little bit about their community. Donovan?
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Hello, everyone. Like she said, my name is Donovan Kearns. I am the Peace Community Leader as well as the Social Studies teacher on the community. We have a couple other teachers from our community on the Zoom today. We have Megan Obermeyer, who is our science teacher. There is also Caitlin Stanley. She is our English teacher. And then we have Michelle Standifer, who is our math teacher. And we are really excited to give you just a very brief overview of what the Summit Learning Platform looks like. So how do we use technology? Ms. Brown talked about how both communities will be using technology a lot over the next school year. In some ways that we use technology through the Summit platform on the Peace community is to access curriculum and resources. So the Summit platform holds all of our curriculum and resources that our students are able to use. So the students go to that one website and they can find the links through those projects and focus areas that Ms. Brown mentioned. Students also use the Summit Learning platform to submit assignments. Once they have submitted those assignments, teachers are able then to present feedback, and that feedback is also found on the platform. Typically, that feedback comes in the form of one of 3 colors, a green, yellow, or red. And it's just like the traffic light. Green means go, that the student did what they needed to do. Yellow means there's something we still need to work on. And red means, whoa, we've got to take a step back and reevaluate what we did. We use the platform to goal set, and that is something that we try to do every day. We also take content assessments. Those content assessments are connected to focus areas such as ancient Greece or weather and climate. And those content assessments are just 10-question quizzes to test and see if the students have mastered the basics of that content. We can also use the platform to review mentoring notes. So as teachers are mentoring with their students, they are inputting notes into the Summit Learning platform and are providing goals for students. Students always have access to those notes and are able to see exactly what the teacher is wanting them to work on. And then the students also use technology to help with time management and self-direction. Anything on the platform can be printed to meet student needs. And in fact, many times we will print the assignments as we are working with the students. And that way the students are using that pencil and are writing on that paper as they are following us in that direct instruction. The Summit Learning platform is not a means of replacing instruction. The platform, like I said, just holds the curriculum and the resources and is an added bonus to us as teachers to help our students stay more organized. We are still providing the instruction for them. This is a student view of what the Summit platform looks like. You will notice that it has the 4 classes that the students will take. So their 4 core classes are on the Summit platform. Their Apple class is not. Typically, they will use Google Classroom for that Apple class. You will notice there are 3 big components. There are projects, which Ms. Brown told us take about 80% of the students' time and account for 80% of their grade. And then power focus areas and additional focus areas. I think of power focus areas like textbook chapters. They're the very basic information that your student is going to need to know. We then take that information and apply it in the projects. And we grade those projects on something called cognitive skills, like argumentative claim or selecting relevant sources. So for instance, in social studies right now, we are learning about ancient Rome. We're going to eventually talk about how ancient Rome's growth and expansion led to big changes for them and how it impacted them as a whole. We do that by learning about Rome in the focus area and applying that knowledge to that question in the project. No matter what community your student is on, they will still get the same content. So Ms. Beckett in the Google Classroom or Vision community is teaching about Rome just like I am. And we're teaching the same content, we just get there a little bit differently. This is what the student grades look like on the Summit platform. Parents and students always have access to these grades and it updates in real time. So as soon as I grade an assignment or give feedback, the student is immediately able to see what
The
that
Zoom
was.
meeting started at 6.
Your child's mentor teacher always has access to that information as well. That's one thing that I personally like about the platform is that I'm able to easily see on one page the students' grades. You'll notice that these are kind of in circles. The more full the color is on the circle, the closer the student is to getting a 100. If you'll notice, some of those classes say that they're off track. That just means the student is behind on an assignment right now. And that is a sign to us as teachers, as well as to you as parents and students, that there is something the student needs to get done to get back onto pacing and to be where they need to be during that time of the school year. As always, you're gonna get some contact information for us. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Hi guys, my name is Miss Williams and I am the English teacher for the Vision community and I'm also the team leader. So I'm just going to go through real quickly some ways that we do things on the Vision community just so that you can know kind of where we're at and how we do things. So for our technology, students are on Chromebooks every day in our classrooms in every class. We, as you've already heard, we use the Google platform, which many of your students are already used to. That is where all their assignments and curriculum and resource and links are all submitted on the Google Classroom. They will complete their assignments through Google Classroom and turn those in. And once they are turned in, we are able to grade them and give them feedback. Those grades are then updated into our Infinite Campus grades, which we'll go over in just a second. We also do goal setting, just like the other team, and we use the Google platform to take our assessments. Sometimes we also use Mastery Connect for those as well, which I know some of your students in your elementary schools are using as well. I think the Summit team upstairs piece also uses Mastery Connect from time to time. Again, anything on the Google Classroom can be printed if necessary, and the Google Classroom instructions to either work together or in groups, and then they will show their knowledge individually. So this is kind of what the Google Classroom looks like. If you're not familiar, everything is posted for the stream is kind of where we post our announcements, and our classwork is where your kids will find their assignments each day. And that's where they will be able to submit those. Once they are submitted, you will automatically get a notification that a grade has been posted. It kind of looks like this. You'll see an ongoing total average for the year, but this is kind of like when a grade is posted, what it'll look like. If your student is missing assignment, it will be marked as missing until they turn it in, and then that missing will change to late. But you'll know right away if your student has not turned something in.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm Miss Jones. I'm one of the counselors, like Miss Swan said, and wanted to just let you know that Mrs. Smith and I have really enjoyed visiting with your students at their elementary schools this week. And so we've gone over some of the basics of this information with them. But I did want to say with the T-chart that Mrs. Brown was going over, I apologize. I was having user malfunction with zooming in on that. I saw a message in the chat asking where that could be accessed for virtual families. And please know that if your student is virtual, the counselors at your elementary school or the team leads should have already posted that in your Google Classroom or your Dojo classroom. So please feel free to access that there. And if for some reason you don't have access to it, we will be giving our contact information at the end. Okay, so again, I am the counselor, Mrs. Smith and I, excuse me, are here to help all students, but we've told the students this week that I am assigned upstairs to the Summit communities and she is downstairs to our universal communities. But of course that, that is for organizational purposes. You'll see me in Summit classrooms, helping with social emotional learning lessons, doing small groups, helping with testing and things of that nature. But of course, if for some reason I'm not available, Mrs. Smith to see a student, Mrs. Smith is available and vice versa. So we are a team, we work together, but that is how we are organized. If you down the road get communications from us about scheduling and things like that. So moving forward, we already went over the schedule, but really one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk with you about before we talk about deadlines is our Apple classes and our Apple offerings, because that is the point at which your students will have some choice, which is the really awesome thing about middle school. Our courses generally rotate on a 9-week basis. So as Mrs. Brown said, our current schedule is our 4 core classes, which your student will have with either the Peace Community or the Vision Community. And then they will have those Apple classes on a 9-week rotation. There is not a choice there. They are assigned, based on availability. And so, for example, your student could have art, agri-science, career choices, and drama for the year. But our goal is that by the time they've finished at Royal Spring, that they will have had all of our Apple classes. So art, agri-science, career choices, drama, gateway to technology, which is our robotics and engineering class, music, which is more of a general music class, kind of a combination of music appreciation and music history, and then PE and health. This year, we are currently also offering a media literacy course, but your students would be rotated through those. The exception to that, or excuse me, the exceptions to that is band and chorus. And this is where your student has a choice to sign up for band. We did tell the students this week that there is not an audition required for band. If they want to be in band, they can jump in, and they do not have to audition for that. They do not have to have any musical background. We welcome any and all students that are interested in pursuing our music programs. I will share that Miss Napier is extremely passionate about band and is building an excellent program. And even if your student is not sure what instrument they're interested in, that's part of the process at the beginning of the year, where Hearst Music comes in and lets students try out different instruments and see what the best fit is. But the really important thing we want to share tonight is that if your student has any interest whatsoever in band, they have to sign up this year. This is not a plug for or against, but we just want to make sure that you know that they have to sign up 6th grade, because that's really when they are learning the building blocks and the foundation of band and of music. And so we tell students that if they decide at the end of the year, hey, this isn't for me, I want to pursue other things, I don't want to continue, that's fine. It's just a 1-year commitment. That's totally a family decision. But we just want to be upfront about that, because they're not really able, they would really miss out. They wouldn't be able to join in 7th and 8th grade. And we also tell students if they have siblings or friends that are in marching band at Scott County or Great Crossing, and that's something they've always wanted to do, we want to make sure that they get in on that in 6th grade. And again, no decision is permanent. That can be adjusted if needs and desires change. Chorus is another program. It's not quite the same as band in terms of having to start in 6th grade, but it is a year-long commitment. And so at this point in time, we do not know yet if it will be offered because of pandemic restrictions, as many of you know who have maybe children that have already been through Royal Spring or are here currently. We are not currently offering chorus, which is very sad to us. Ms. Metcalf is awesome, and we're looking forward to having that class back. But we want you to be able to indicate, or your student to be able to indicate, if he or she has interest in chorus, should we receive approval to continue with that. So those are the 2 exceptions to that. And as of right now, we offer 1 class throughout the day, 1 Apple class. So if we are to continue with the 5-period day, they would, if they choose band or chorus, that would be their Apple class. If they do not, they would rotate through the 4 others. You know, or there is a possibility in the future that we could have more, but that is what we're looking at for this year. So then moving forward, and I will show you the form in a minute, what that looks like. Moving forward, we want your children to be invested inside the classroom, but we have so many sports and clubs to offer that we also want them to be invested as a Titan outside the classroom, so that their experience here is a positive one, so they can grow as an athlete, as a musician, and in different areas, whatever their interests may be. And so as you can see, the sports that we offer, and I think Ms. Smith and I listed them all, but we could have forgotten one or two: football, basketball, cheerleading, dance team, soccer, track, archery, baseball, softball, and volleyball. And this list right here of clubs are the clubs that we are currently offering: 4-H, academic team, math counts, FCA, drama, diversity club, FFA, GSA, Y club, art club, robotics club, and STLP. But I will say that we have told your children, as we visited them, that if there is something that they're interested in that is not on this list, if it's a school appropriate activity and Mrs. Wands, our principal, gives approval, and the students, your student finds a staff member who is interested in sponsoring that, which means they would be staying to supervise the meeting, then students are welcome to submit a proposal to start a club of their own. And so some of your students have already expressed interest in different things they might want to do, which is exciting for us because we definitely want them to be invested. So that might not be all of them, but Mrs. Thacker is our really knows all the things about the club. So if I have left something out, you will certainly be receiving information as the school year approaches and as the school year begins. So I just want to show you what this form looks like. You know, with COVID, obviously we have been moving to more virtual options, but really we're hoping that that helps everyone and that streamlines everything. So really the form itself is very simple. It's really more thinking through the options is what's going to take you the most time. We just want your student to fill in their last name. Last name, first name, your email, obviously their elementary school. And then we just need for you all to make the decision. Do they want to be in the Summit Learning Community and work with the Summit platform? Do they want to be in the Universal Learning Community and work with the Google platform? Or do you not have a preference? You know, as Ms. Brown said, they are more alike than they are different currently as we have, advanced our technology at Royal Spring. So that is the first selection that we want you to make. And then with regard to band and choir, does your student want to be in band? Would they like to be in chorus if it is offered? Are they interested in both? We do find that because obviously musicians like different types of music. So if that is something that your child is interested in, we have made that work in the past and we will try to do that schedule wise. And then of course, if your student is not interested in band or chorus, that is not a class that we just randomly place students in. We understand that some students do not have an interest in that, and that is perfectly fine. And of course, your signature, and you will submit that. The deadline is March 5th, which is next Friday. Certainly don't feel rushed. Take the time to talk with your student about what you think would be the best fit, and you still have a week. It feels kind of crazy for it to be already March, and it also feels early to be doing this, but we definitely want, what might feel early to you. It's not early for us in terms of planning, but we want to make sure that you have a voice, your student has a voice in what he or she would like, and that we place them in the best place for them, and that they have the best schedule for them next year. So I guess At this time, this is I will touch base on this. This is our contact information for those of us that are participating in the Zoom tonight. I believe, Mrs. Brown, do we have?
Yes, we do have some.
Look at some questions. If you guys have any questions, I do want to say before I forget, if you don't currently have a student at Royal Spring, wanted to go ahead and give you a heads up to join our Facebook page if you use social media, and then to sign up for the Titan Times newsletter so that you can already begin to get those announcements. We try at this point in the year to communicate everything through the elementary schools, but we consider your students Titans already. So they will be with us shortly, and we're looking forward to that. So feel free to follow those venues so that you can learn about announcements for school-based things, also, extracurricular things, athletics, tryouts, and things like that. So.
All right, so if you are thinking that you have a few questions, you are welcome to send them through the chat feature. We do have a couple already, and one of those questions are, what option is best for a student with a 504 and needs more guided and interaction? So I'm very pleased to say that whether your child has a 504 or an IEP or has special education needs, those services are available. The same amount of staff are on each community, and it will not matter which option that your child chooses. So the same exact services are provided no matter which community that your child decides to join. If you have specific questions or your child has specific needs that you would like for myself or one of the special education teachers to sit down and kind of talk to you, we can definitely do that. Some of your kids who are that might be coming to us with an IEP, we have ARC meetings with the elementary schools and transition meetings. So we can also discuss that during transition meetings as you have those closer towards the end of the year. We will be present, administration will be present for your transition meetings if your child does have an IEP. So feel free to reach out with very specific questions. And then the only other question here was, is the school office going to be open tomorrow? And I'm going to pass that off to Miss Wands because I believe she's going to close us out this evening.
There actually are I have a few questions in my chat.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I was going to say, I don't see any more with mine. So you go
And
ahead.
I think that I answered some of them, but bear with me. Let me make sure I don't miss anyone. Of course, we talked about where you can access that T-chart, comparing the two platforms on your elementary school platforms. Can you do both band and chorus? We typically are able to work that out. So indicate both, and we will work with your student individually. Is piano offered in band? Is a question. And I know we had a piano class last year. I'm not sure, Mrs. Brown, if we will be offering that next year. Do you know?
I am not aware that we will be offering piano moving into next school year.
And that doesn't mean we wouldn't have it in the future, but for sixth grade purposes,
right?
For sure. We had a parent asking what STLP means. Student Technology Leadership Program. So students that are helping out with different technology aspects of our building. It's very, and I will say, if you, excuse me, do not have older students, it's a very, STLP students are very involved at the high school level too, and as far as supporting the school and also competing on a state and national level. So it's a great program. Do the high schools work with the Summit platform? Currently, Mrs. Brown, I don't believe so. Is that?
There have been classes at ECS that utilize the Summit platform, but at this time, I am not aware of any teachers using the Summit platform at a high school level.
Okay. We were made aware that the link to scheduling was not working. I did test that today, and I had a couple other folks test it today. It should be working now. If you didn't have issues, it might have been a restriction issue in terms of if you were signing in with a non-Scott County address. So please try that again, or I guess we can post that link on our Facebook page. I can also put it down in the chat. evening so that you can access that. But again, you should be getting that form. That link is available on the paperwork that I sent home with students who were in schools this week in elementary schools, and also on your elementary platforms. So you should have it, those two areas, also on our Facebook page, and I'll put it in the chat. Okay.
I have received a couple more questions since you've been talking, Ms. Jones.
Yeah.
So one question that was sent to me is, if we pick a community in 6th grade, are we committed to do that community all 3 years? So in 6th grade, we do not loop in 6th grade, but in 7th and 8th grade, we love looping at Royal Spring. That means that our 7th and 8th grade courses or communities, they stay with the same teachers. And there's a lot of benefit to that because the teachers get to know the students, they know the expectations, but 6th grade, we don't loop. So what we do ask is that if you want to make that change, that you would do that at the end of 6th grade, going into 7th grade, because we really don't want to pull kids in and out of a community. Once we get them in 7th and 8th grade looping cycle, we'd like to keep them there. So it is definitely at the end of the school year. If you want to switch to a different platform, then at this time you're able to do that. We have the next question says, are choices a first come, first serve, so quickly gets choices in? So thus far at Royal Spring, we have never had a situation where we haven't been able to allow a kid to be in whichever platform they wanted to use. So while there is a deadline that the counselors would like for teachers or for parents to submit that information, that doesn't necessarily mean that if somebody they submit theirs 3 weeks later, that they're not going to get into whichever community that they're wanting. We ask for that information up front because we do have to have staffing. And so, that plays a lot into, we don't want to overload one community over the next. So ultimately, it does come down to the principal's decision over who gets placed where, but we've not had to do that in the past. Typically, it kind of falls about 50-50. And so we've been very fortunate, but we want to work with you guys so that you all are where you want to be. And we feel confident it doesn't matter which community that you choose. And so we're going to work with you, definitely.
Questions, Ms. Brown, did you have any more in your chat?
I believe that's all I have.
How will we be notified of sports teams tryouts, specifically cheerleading? I would assume the Facebook page and Titan Times, but is there any other place we should be advertising?
All things will go through Facebook and through our Titan Times.
And as far as selecting that platform, folks, I put it in the chat, the link in the chat. But if for some reason you're not able to grab that before we get off, it should be available at your elementary schools on those platforms.
I've got one more question. So is it possible to do band and chorus for sure? Ms. Jones, I'm going to let you tackle that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading the chat. Could you repeat that?
So is it possible to do band and chorus for sure?
I can't say for sure, but I know we have made it work with, this is only my 2nd year at Royal Spring. What a crazy couple of years to start at Royal Spring. I know that with Mrs. Smith and I, we made it work with a couple students last year. So it really, we have to, if we are approved to have chorus next year, we kind of have to consult with Ms. Napier and Ms. Metcalf, our teachers, on the best way to do that. But we will try our very best. I know in the past, Ms. Brown, before me being here, did it depend on the grade level? Was it more like grade level based?
As far as if they could be in both?
Mm-hmm.
No, it really depended on whether we're a 5 block or 7 block. And then Also, sometimes kids would take band for part of the year and then take chorus for the second part of the year. So that often helps as well, to give kids both options there.
We will try our very best.
I do have another question. Miss Thacker, could you put a link to subscribe to Titan Times in the chat? I have pinged that out to Miss Thacker, and I'm sure she'll grab that and post it in the chat for you guys. When are volleyball tryouts? I am not certain of tryout times right now. I know we will post all of the tryouts through Any Sports, through the Titan Times, and through our Facebook page.
We had a question about school timing, and do not apologize for that. It's a basic question, but it's an important one. Our school day begins at 8:30 and ends at 3:30. The school building is open at 10 after 8, unless your student is here for the early morning program. Several of your children asked about that, and it was phrased in the form of, what time will I have to wake up? And we told them, we can't tell you that because we don't know mom and dad's work schedule or your bus schedule, but we can tell you the school day starts about an hour later than what you are used to. So that might work out in their favor, but they were very interested in that. Let me make sure.
I am so excited to see so many little Titan faces in the crowd. Our future Titans that you guys are going to be here soon. Hello, hello, hello. Ms. Jones, we do have a question from one of our Titans, and that makes me super excited. So if you guys can unmute Naomi, she's got a hand raised to see if you're able to do that. If not, Naomi, if you can type it into the chat, we see you there. And we want to make sure that we get your question answered.
So if I do band or chorus, will it replace the classes?
I think what we got out of that is, will it replace the other Apple classes? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This question's for her.
It really just depends on what our schedule, what we're allowed to do. COVID, we've got a lot of restrictions on us still. So like this year, we haven't been able to offer chorus at all, which is, kind of crazy, especially for those who like to sing. And then our schedule's been altered a little bit next year. So it's going to ultimately depend on what our schedule winds up being. And we're not going to know that for a little bit of time. We'll get some district guidance on some of our cans and can'ts. And once we know a little bit more of that information, we'll be able to answer that a little bit more clearly. I know it's hard not knowing everything right now, but where we're at, we're working together as best as we can, and hopefully we'll have it answered for you. It is our goal, though, to offer as many Apple classes to you as possible. And it's our goal to be able to have you take band and chorus, and to take a band and another Apple class. What you wouldn't be able to do necessarily is do band, chorus, and then another Apple. But we know that those are fun classes, and we've got phenomenal teachers, and we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to be exposed to as many of them as possible. Are there any other questions?
I have no questions on my end, Ms. Warren.
Let's see, hang on one. Oh, no, no more here, I think. Well, I'm sorry, there is one more that I missed. I had a family ask if the high school is not using Summit, do we know what they're using? My understanding this year is that they're using Google Classroom, but that could be wrong. So I don't want to speak for the high school. High school parents, do you know?
Most people are using the Google Classrooms with some Ingenuity, which is another online program. Because of COVID, we've done a lot of the technology-based programs. And so that's what you're going to find pretty much across the secondary spectrum is the use of technology. The question came up, the office hours for tomorrow. The office will be open from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock tomorrow. Ms. Thacker is going to be here. And in fact, she is going to be putting together 6th grade packets for you. So we need to give a special shout out to Ms. Thacker because she is the all everything. If you ever need anything and you contact the front office, you rest assured that it is going to get done. We appreciate her mightily, for sure. Also want to give a shout out to the teachers who are here tonight, parents and students in the Zoom. You guys, it doesn't necessarily matter which platform you choose next year because both communities are filled with rock star teachers, communities that I would be happy to have my kids in, top upstairs and downstairs, it doesn't matter, filled with phenomenal teachers across the board. I know that there were some questions too about the cheer and the dance. The biggest thing I would say is to make sure that you get on Facebook or on the Titan Times, and we promise you we will push everything out through those venues. Cheer and dance, they typically are done in May. Again, with COVID, it seems like our tryouts are getting pushed back and we have restrictions. So while they're usually in May, not sure if we're going to be able to do that or if we're going to be told we have to wait until June or July. Volleyball is a winter sport. It does not start until October the 15th. So no need to worry about volleyball here at Royal Spring, but feel free to freshen up on those volleyball skills on your own. So when you come here, you're ready to go with the volleyball. I think that that is all that I have, unless Ms. Brown or Ms. Jones have anything to add. We want to say thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I know that it was a lot of information. And if it's the first time that you're seeing some of it, it can be a little overwhelming. Take a deep breath, know that you're going to be in good hands when you get here, and make sure that you know that you can email us at any time and we are here to help and support you. And don't forget to fill out that survey in terms of which community you would like to choose for your student. And if you have any questions, go ahead and email on in, okay? Thank you for joining us and have a phenomenal evening. And Titans, can't wait till you're here with us. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
You have a choice.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't really care.
So this is the quiet waiting part, right?
Mr. Barkley, I see that you're still in here and I'm seeing your question that you gave to me.
Yep.
The time for car riders to be dropped off, the doors open at 8:10 unless you do the early morning program, which opens at 7 o'clock, I believe. Ms. Thacker, can correct me.
7:10.
7:10? Okay, at 7:10, and there's a registration fee, for the full year, and I think it's $6 a day, or 25 for the week, something to that effect for the morning program.
Okay, thank you. Hi, you all, by the way.
Great.
Good.
I was just checking because I'm at Dunbar and my wife is at Eastern, so yeah.
Sure. Yep. Looking forward to having them here soon.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yes, we can do this. We can do this. Mr. Kearns, thank you. Ms. Williams, thank you. Obermeyer, other teachers, thank you for joining us here tonight. All right. And I'm sure that we'll have some questions. If it's specific to your community, we'll email you guys. If I get one specific to your community, I may just forward it your way if I'm unable to answer it. But I suspect that we'll have some, some questions, understandably. So other parents on here, any other questions? Are you guys good?
As can be.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Guys, have a good night and we'll see you soon.
do you think people forget that they're still on it sometimes?
Miss
I
Beth
don't
is still
know.
recording, so just a
Yeah.
heads up.
Thanks.
I'm on,
You
I'm
can
gonna.
turn off your recorder
Yeah,
now.